And if you could list our online attendees verbally.
Okay, I have a Grant, last name undisclosed, Liz Armitage with Vicinia Planning, Sarah Baker, and Stu Sackeld with the East Central Review.
Excellent. Just going to remind everyone that although this is a public meeting, uninvited comments, outbursts, anything like that are not appropriate and won't be tolerated. Any additions or amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to add a new business. I would call it 7.8, and it would be RCMP. And the purpose of the discussion would be to figure out next steps in communicating with the RCMP, given the Bashaw Stars confirmation that they are discussing merging Stettler and Bashaw. So just be to figure out our next steps.
Okay.
I have, excuse me, Sir Chair, I also have an Alexa Rurda joining online.
Okay. Thank you. Would anybody care to move the minutes for the agenda as amended? Thank you, Brian. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the last meeting.
Chair will appear in order, so I will move the documents to regular meeting of council.
All in favor? Carried. We have no delegation tonight. We're going to move into 6.1 bylaw number 811-2022, designated public utility lot.
Administration requests all 4 readings. So the first 2 readings for first and second, and then request for unanimous consent on the third, and then third and final.
Any discussion on the bylaw? Straightforward.
I can make the motion for the first reading.
All in favor? Carried.
Second reading.
All in favor? Carried.
Mr. Chair, I move unanimous consent to proceed to third.
All in favor? We are unanimous.
I can do third and final.
That's not that fast. All in favor? Motion is carried. We have a bylaw. Item 7.1, development permit application.
Development permit 2020 or 2022-1 is for a property located at 5340 51st A Street. The application is for the Bear Hills Family Wellness Center. The application has been submitted by James Carpenter, Dr. Tony Mucciaroni, Lucy Smolcic, and Audrey Ward. Musqueam First Nations have expressed support for the proposed project. The property is designated as direct control as per the land use bylaw 780-2018. Land use bylaw 780-2018, section 12.42 states that the development authority in the direct control district shall be the council. Much of this content is a repeat. If you wanted me to go through it, or I can just kind of move on to the newer content.
I think we've all had a chance to go through it.
Okay. The new content is quite simply on April 20th. Actually, council completed an additional review of the development permit application on April 19th and issued an additional incomplete letter on April 19th. April 20th, the applicant provided additional information in digital format with acknowledgement of release to the public. On April 21st, 2022, the applicant provided the same materials in hard copy. Administration has reviewed the materials in accordance with the previous incomplete letters and is able to confirm that the following materials have been submitted. confirmation of exact uses, confirm the number of beds, the age of guests, business plan, building access, on-site safety, off-site community safety, capacity of existing medical infrastructure, confirmation of providers and governance structure, integration of guests and visitors, traffic impact assessment, environmental public review, health review. The aforementioned materials and optional additional materials submitted by the applicant have been attached to this report. Please note that at this time, a detailed review of the materials has not been completed by administration. Upon council deeming the information submitted to be complete, administration and council will need to begin a thorough review of the materials in accordance with the requirements of the land use bylaw and professional land use planning practices. In accordance with the Municipal Government Act and the Town of Bashaw's land use bylaw, this review must be completed within 40 days of issuing the complete letter. Should a decision not be made within the 40 days, the application is deemed refused unless the development authority, the council, and the applicant make a written agreement to extend the 40-day period in which the development authority is to make a decision. Furthermore, in accordance with the Town of Bashaw's land use bylaw, despite the issuance of a complete certificate, the development authority may request additional information from the applicant if in the course of reviewing the application, the development authority determines that additional information is necessary to review the application. So we have mentioned about community engagement. So when we continue to recommend council consider holding a Bashaw community information session upon receipt of publicly available information. And then in the spirit of reconciliation, the community information should be held jointly with the Musquecheese elder and Musquecheese service providers. Such a meeting would provide a formal venue to Bashaw residents to submit feedback directly to council. Administration is currently seeking the services of a third party to help support the invitation of the Musquecheese elders to a meeting. As administration does not have the experience in arranging these meetings, we need to be sure it is done correctly. Administration recommends council consider the following 4 options or multiples of. Option 1, council issue the attached complete letter which deems the application complete. Option 2, direct administration to circulate the application to relevant government agencies for a 21-day review period for comment, including Alberta Health Services, Battle River School Division, Bashaw District Support Services, Camrose and Area Lodge Authority, Camrose County, and we may want to consider the RCMP. Council schedule dedicated council meetings to review the application material, or option 4, refuse the application citing the reasons for refusal. And so administration is of the opinion that collectively option 1, 2, and 3 should be considered.
What is the will of the council? Discussion.
Can you just go through for us option 2, why do we feel it's important to circulate the application to relevant government agencies?
Well, can you help me out with that there, Liz, or should I take a stab?
Jump in on this one. So the Municipal Government Act gives us the ability to circulate to agencies on any type of planning application that we deem necessary as the approving authority to get additional input on. And so it is standard practice. What we do is we look at what agencies would be impacted. So for example, oftentimes we'd circulate to Alberta Transportation if it were along the highway, or if it were a new cannabis retail sales, we'd circulate to Alberta Health. So for a facility such as this, which does use health and wellness, we will always recommend referring it to any agency that may have an input on it. It doesn't mean that council is bound by their recommendations. Usually it doesn't mean that. I should specify there are times when Alberta Transportation does have the authority over municipalities to direct us to do something. But what it does do is 2 things. It allows area providers and people who are experts in a subject matter that work with the government to review an application, which means that, for example, in this circumstance, if Alberta Health Services looks at the application and notices something's missing or notices, hey, was this considered? They can provide that comment so we can make a more educated decision. But also it gives them the chance to potentially go, hey, this is a really exciting project, or not, on the other side of that, and voice their support or reasons they might not have that support, but also look at their program deliveries. So, for example, maybe they look at this and go, we're going to need to up service A and drop service B if this opens up in the community. So they're able to start doing some pre-programming of their own and allocating their resources as they would require. So ultimately, for a very long-winded answer, it is our right under the Municipal Government Act to do so. There's clauses somewhere in the land use bylaw, I'm not sure where off the top of my head, that give us further ability to circulate. And ultimately, it is the right thing to do. We are simply seeking additional professional input.
Okay, thank you. One follow-up question to that. So if we were to do, as you recommended, Teresa, a combination of the three, can option 2, the 21-day review period to the government agencies and council scheduling dedicated council meetings to review the application materials, does that happen simultaneously or does that happen one after the other?
Ultimately, that's your decision. So I do want to add the 21 days is just a suggestion.
Okay.
There is nothing that tells us how long we have to circulate it for. However, if they want more time, they will tell us. And it would be considered pretty less than desirable practice to not give them more time if they feel they need to do their due diligence and it will take more time. So if they come back and say to us 21 days isn't enough, we'll come to council and let you know that Alberta Health Services or one of the other agencies, the school board has said they've requested more time. Then you guys more than likely would say, okay, we'll give you more time. We want your input. Technically, you could say no, but again, it's really good practice to listen to area experts and professionals. And so what we run into potentially, for example, if someone says we need more than 21 days, we could end up having to go to the applicant, and this actually includes council as well. If we have 40 days to approve it or it's deemed refused under the Municipal Government Act. However, what would then happen is we'd come to council and say, this agency's requested more time, or council may say, we need more time. And you tell the applicant, here are your choices. You either give us additional time, put it in writing, and agree to that in writing, and it's always in writing, or they don't, and it's deemed refused. And again, as we've talked before, there is no appeal if it were to be deemed refused. So it wouldn't be in anyone's best interest to have that scenario happen. So that was another really long-winded answer. What was your other question?
It was just basically, can the government agencies be doing their 21-day review, and can we be doing our dedicated council meeting reviews simultaneously?
You can, absolutely. That would be your guys' discretion on how you want to set your timetable. The only caution on doing your review within that 21 days is you may not have their comments yet.
Right.
So
you could do
have all the information, and what they say could change your discussion.
right.
In my experience, again, I'm going to sound like a long-winded broken record tonight, apparently. These agencies often provide great comments. So sometimes they provide none. So I don't want to get your hopes too high, but if they provide comments, typically you'd want to make sure that you were able to really evaluate what they say and listen to their input.
Okay, so yeah, so basically, we could begin our review while they're doing their 21-day review. That still gives us 19 days after they finish their review to receive their feedback and finish our review based on that feedback, correct?
Correct.
Okay, last question I have, and then I'll turn it to somebody else. So these dedicated council meetings to review the application material, what are you kind of thinking, Teresa? Like, are we going to kind of chunk it out that we review specific, or have you gotten that far yet?
Initial commentary, I guess, is thought we would start with two evening or preferably 2 evenings, because it seems like council's available for
Right.
evenings more so than daytime. And if they could be like one day after the other, and then that way we can utilize having Liz join us through the review. And Liz, I'm not sure if you have any comment, but I was just thinking we start at the beginning and look at, you know, the information provided and compare it to what was requested, and, you know, determine if we got got answers, or if we need more information.
That would be my suggestion as well. There's in total, the actual application is about 50-ish pages, but there's about 1,000 additional supplementary pages. So my biggest recommendation would be, we probably don't want to start the review until everyone's had time to read the 1,000+ pages, so that we're the most productive while we're there.
Any other questions?
I have questions, comments, follow-up, I guess.
Thought you might.
I'll start at the follow-up, I suppose. Beginning on page 34 of the submitted material, under the heading capacity of existing medical infrastructure in the town of Bashaw, there are, I believe, 2 full pages of potential commentary from Alberta Health Services. So I guess my first question is, why do we need to go to Alberta Health Services when we have 2 pages of information at least in front of us?
Do you know the information is correct?
I'd like to hope it is.
I believe a circulation to Alberta Health Services will confirm that it is correct.
Okay. My second question is, what is the timeline necessary for administration to review the materials in a detailed fashion? I will point out that I received the material on Wednesday and have read all 1,000 and some pages. So I'm wondering when we're expecting that to be processed.
So basically, we were looking at booking a date at council's leisure. I know I am unavailable next week, but the following week, I certainly have greater flexibility and availability. I know we have a current council meeting for the 16th. However, I think the content of this application again warrants a dedicated meeting, and then that way any public that wants to attend or you know, be part or basically listen to the conversations, then they're available to attend as well. So I'm not sure, you know, just hypothetically, if the 17th, 18th works, or if you, so as part of the motion process, would be basically looking at scheduling the dedicated meetings to review the materials.
Thank you. My third question is on page 2 of the agenda package with respect to community engagement consideration. Both a question and a comment. We are looking to book with Master Chiefs representatives, elders, chiefs, and council. I know that the mayor has received information via email from one of the representatives from a group. I know the mayor has also had conversations with a chief standing on the road, wondering what the update is on what the timing on that could be. If council or administration can provide support in booking that meeting, etc. So that's my next question.
I've had no further contact with Chief Leonard.
Okay.
When last we spoke, he was gonna get the Musqueam Chiefs Tribal Council to get them organized and propose a meeting date, and I have not heard back.
My final general question pertains to the potential complete letter. In the second full paragraph, there's a bolded sentence. The sentence says this letter does provide any sort of development, permit, approval, or refusal. I'm wondering if that is the correct phrasing.
I bet that's supposed to be does not.
Correct. Hey, Liz, you missed the not in there.
Does not is really important. Yes.
Thank you, Counselor McIntosh.
So being that there is a typo in that letter, I would suggest it cannot be signed today. So it should probably be dated tomorrow when it will be signed. Assuming it'll be signed tomorrow.
If-
No, I will not be around town tomorrow.
Can we delegate the deputy mayor to sign it?
I'm available.
I'm fine with that. Any other questions or comments?
I just have a question regarding public engagement. That doesn't necessarily have to be an open public meeting, right? Like it could be just a write-in, could be just a write-in where people would submit written submissions, or is it always a public forum? Or can it be both? Can it be a hybrid of both?
Teresa, if I can answer that one. We haven't designed that public engagement session yet. And I would definitely suggest that it should have the opportunity for people to come in person, but also people to be able to submit comments in writing. Whether that's via letters or emails or what that looks like, is yet to be determined. But the general goal with any engagement that we do is to reach as many people as we can and to reach as many different people as we can. I should add that different. There's some people who would be happy to write an email. There's some people who would rather write a letter. There are some people who would rather not speak in public. So we need to make sure that we allow options for everybody to participate.
Thank you.
When I hear a letter writing, what comes to mind is a public hearing. So can you explain the difference to me between a public hearing and a public engagement?
Public hearing is mandated through the Municipal Government Act. So ultimately to approve a bylaw, there has to be a public hearing and it's in front of council in a council chambers. A development permit with council as the development authority does not require a public hearing. And there would be no grounds to hold one under the MGA. So a community engagement meeting, a stakeholder meeting, public participation, there's 100 different names for this type of a meeting, is really about having an opportunity for the public to view this and having an opportunity for council to hear from the public. It's more informal because it's not in front of council in a council meeting, but it still allows council to be able to learn from their residents and the people of the community.
So just because I don't think everybody can hear with the furnace going. So the long and the short of it is that it's more informal. It allows residents and council to kind of engage in some active conversation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Anything else?
I would propose a timeline on this. I don't know if the World Council is, I'm just throwing timelines and ideas out there on what I would like to see. But I'm of the mindset that this has been before us long enough that I would like to start seeing this on my agenda package in any months. So I would like to have this done in 28 days. My proposal would be that in 1 week's time, we hold a discussion. I understand see what was unavailable. It's just my timeline before I knew that. A discussion or review of the application in detail, and if that needs to be 1 night or 2 months. 14 days hence, I would propose we have an engagement with the elders, council, chiefs, or other affected parties from Mascot Chiefs. 21 days hence, I would suspect I would welcome the public engagement opportunity, and 28 days hence is when I would like to vote on this. So my proposal be in 1 week we tear into this, in 2 weeks we meet with the elders and other individuals from Mascot Chiefs. In 3 weeks we have our new engagement session, and in 4 weeks nice by the timing of May 3rd. So that's my preference. I want this off our agenda package. I know I've got some items that I'd like to bring forward. I suspect the rest of council does. To me, 28 days, if something should come up where we face delays, it still gives us buffer within 40-day window required. So that's where my initial position is.
Are you still thinking we should circulate to government agencies then, Kyle?
I don't know about circulation. I have mixed feelings on it. I've reviewed a number of circulations over the past weeks from neighboring municipalities, and generally the substance that I've seen on that does not have a response. I feel like at this point, this has been in the wind in some form or another for a year, but for us officially since January, some of these groups would have perhaps reached out to us by now. If we were to go down the route of circulation, I would be comfortable as long as we can extend our deadline. So I don't want to see 21 days and then we start the 40-day clock. I'm also not clear that 21 days is the right number for me with the community engagement on the timeline that I'm proposing. I would like to have that information before that. So I would be more comfortable if we did pursue that route of choosing 14 days.
Mr. Chair, if I may. I believe that Councillor McIntosh's recommendation is a very aggressive timeline and not realistic based on administration will be in the process of generation of tax notices and additional aspects and reconciliation in that capacity. And therefore, it's going to be a real struggle to meet those aggressive timelines and may cost additional funds to hit those timelines because it's going to mean additional administrative hours.
And if I may add in as well, I have serious concerns about not circulating to agencies. To me, that is something that is done on almost any application that has a potential impact on service delivery of government agencies. I would suggest that you could reduce that 21 days. There's no requirement for that 21 days, but it should be circulated. And potential errors and gaps of information that could happen because administration is not experts in this field could have significant consequences for the community. And if they choose not to comment, and I do agree, sometimes they choose not to, at least we did our due diligence.
And realistically, 21 days was just a general recommendation because of the volume of material. I think for this application to be considered in its entirety and for information to be processed, by applicable parties, and Alberta Health Services being one where, that has a significant impact in the community and our ability to serve the applicants within this application. So we may be doing the applicants a disservice by not ensuring that our due diligence isn't covered specific to health services.
Right.
I guess I would just comment, I hesitate to put on hard deadlines like that, given the complexity of this and the amount of people involved. It's a lot of timelines for a lot.
I guess my question is, how do we not put hard deadlines on when we have legislative mandates like this needs to be completed within 40 days of issuing the letter? I mean, that's
we
what
do
the
have-
legislation says.
We do have that hard deadline, but
Subject to an extension.
So how long are we going to extend this for?
And I guess I don't have that answer, to be honest. For me, it would depend on how soon we can get this moving forward. We've got, public engagement takes time to advertise and get it, out into the public. We have at least 2 meetings to go through the material, 1,000 pages. I must admit, I've read the first 100. I've got a lot more to read. It's just a lot of material and involving a lot of people.
So how quickly could this be sent out to government agencies and how quickly would we be looking at booking the dedicated meetings to review the application? Like, what's your timeline given your month with the things that we've heard you say that you've got on your plate?
Well, we were kind of tentatively looking at the middle of May. So the next council meeting is the 16th. So engagement or council review could occur at any time from that Tuesday, the 17th to the 20th. You know, I do have some availability where after the long weekend, there's the 24th. However, I don't have 2 days in a row available for the balance of that week. So Liz, I'm not sure what your availability is for that week of this, the 15th to the 21st. If you
It
have
matches
any,
what you said really perfectly, actually. I can make
Yeah.
the 17th, 18th, 19th work. I'd really rather not do the 20th, being the Friday of a long weekend. I think I might have a very disappointed family if I do that. That said, I can make it happen. But then the following week, I am booked on the 24th and 25th. And so I would only have the 26th and 27th available.
And so then the follow-up to the second part was, if you were to circulate this to the government agencies, when would that be going out?
we basically could initiate it by email as soon as possible, for sure.
So there
And
is
then-
potential that if we were to, send it out tomorrow, that potentially by, 17th, 18th, 19th, when we're reviewing it, it's been 2 weeks, there's potential for us to have received some feedback.
Yeah, and like you could certainly shorten the timeline,
Right.
with a caveat saying, hey,
We
if
will
you need
be-
extra time, let us know.
Or even just put in there, we will be dedicating time to review it this week, so we're hoping to have your feedback for those meetings.
So, and Liz, we could ultimately review their feedback after the fact too, hey?
As long as council reviews it, right? As the development authority. So
Right,
if
yeah.
we had to set up another meeting or join another council meeting to specifically look at their stuff, we absolutely could. 2 meetings, maybe we'll only need 1, maybe we'll need 4. I don't know. Right? So I'm hoping we just need 2 meetings.
So are we looking at 17, 18? Was that the days that were?
Well, Liz mentioned she's got 17, 18, and 19 available, but do 17, May 17th and 18th have the potential to work? We can start with 2 and see how far we get.
I have neither of those nights with a major event happening between me, so I can't attend.
Sorry, you can't attend?
But tomorrow, we have a massive event, we're expecting 1,000 people to come.
Oh, that's your road, your run.
Planned all in advance.
Yep.
So then do we need to go to the next week?
After the long weekend, I'm kind of day to day, but I'm pretty open.
My only availability that week is the Tuesday, the 24th.
And I'm unavailable Tuesday, the 24th. What if we,
Would 18, 19 work better for you?
The event's the 19th.
Oh,
So that week is gone for you.
That's- I have Monday available. Tuesday, Wednesday has been booked for 6 months.
So then, so what about,
The following week,
well, is there potential for next week then? Oh, you're gone. Forget that.
Yeah, I'm,
So then we're back, we're down to the last week in May, first part of June.
yeah. And I have.
I'm available that week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all are free for me at this point in time.
Yeah, and
Which
I
week is
have
that?
as well availability.
The first week in June, you are available.
So I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
So, if we're going to, just because of scheduling and timing, be looking at reviewing this the end of May, beginning of June, are there things that we can be doing through the month of May?
Well, I just wondered if we can go through, if we can review it while you're on holidays, if Liz is available.
I'm actually at a conference.
Sorry, when you're out of office. Liz, do you have any availability next week?
I am not available Tuesday. And Wednesday, I think, is out as well, and Friday would be out.
So Monday or Thursday.
And I am just looking for something for Monday. I'm worried I might have a council meeting that's not in my calendar. But I'm usually pretty good, but I feel like I had something there, so.
Or even later part of this week?
I have things booked for Wednesday and Thursday. We did have the CN engagement booked for tomorrow. However, that has been rescheduled. Just date to be determined. Unfortunately, well, I do have some flexibility where I could cancel my Wednesday. So I have the ability for Tuesday, Wednesday this week.
What about the council meeting on the 16th that we do an like we start on it at that meeting? Because you're already booked. Teresa's back. And we at least start on it at that point, and that gives people time to read it and digest it, myself and Teresa included. And so we book, I know the idea was to do 2 back to back, but if that doesn't work in the interest of time, we do the 16th, and maybe it's possible to try to keep the agenda for other items light. I don't know, that might be wishful thinking. And then do one the following week. I'm a bit nervous to commit to being able to read everything, to have a productive meeting
Yeah,
in the next day or two. I fear you guys will be a little disappointed in
Fair.
my preparation.
true, true. So we could reschedule or have it day 1 of reviewing the application on the 16th versus the council meeting. And then we could potentially look at rescheduling the council meeting to the 24th. Just because I know that would be helpful, where I'm basically working on a capital budget and a few other activities that. And I'm hoping that I believe I have everything together for the tax bylaw. Because if I don't, I might be calling for a special meeting if something goes amiss.
Which is going to be difficult to plan, apparently.
So did you say you had some availability on this? Oh, I guess the 17th didn't work for Kyle.
Will you be here for the 16th council meeting, Kyle?
Yeah.
So if we turn that into a review session, that makes me feel more comfortable, because it gives us a couple of weeks with it, a couple of weeks for administration to, kind of put together some thoughts. It also gets the ball rolling within the next couple of weeks here, which I think is really important. Are there other things that we can still do right away? Like, I'm just wondering, the meeting with the Musqueam elders? Is there any way that we could reach back out to them?
Yeah, I will try. I'm on the road tomorrow, so
Okay,
I'll have time to reach out to them.
okay. Just at least if we're doing some things, it just kind of
Mhm.
Mhm.
keeps the motion moving forward.
So can we set up a day for the public engagement, or do we want to have our first meeting?
I would suggest waiting until we've met to review the content before we start that public meeting
I
process.
see that.
We might be in a position by the end of the 16th that day to be able to set the public engagement meeting. Once we've reviewed it, once council indicates how they're feeling about the application in terms of, are they comfortable with what's there? Or are they actually going to need more information from the applicant
Sure.
in order to finalize your review? So I think there's a few things we need to sort out before I would set a public engagement date personally.
Okay.
So is it left 16th? 16th for this
The dedicated meeting.
Yep.
First review.
24th is council, is that correct? Tuesday.
That was a recommendation, yes.
Is that what it
Yep.
Yep.
However, to throw another wrench in there, I just looked at what I'm booked on the 24th and the 25th. If you want to do your second review meeting on the 24th, I think I can actually be there because I'm in your region. So I don't know when you'll do your council meeting, but I'm in your region with other municipalities so I would be able to easily be there for the 24th to do the second session.
Well, let's start with the dialogue about if the 16th and 24th works, and then we can do the follow-up dialogue when we get to the close of our agenda for rebooking council date. Thanks, Liz.
So before we do that, to clarify, our 40 days expires on June 11th if we issue the complete letter, or June 12th, it's a weekend.
Well, we would have one more day if we're issuing the complete letter dated the 3rd.
Right, so it'd be on the 12th, which is a Sunday. So is there a pathway to get this done without an extension based on the timelines you just heard?
In my opinion, needing an extension is secondary to doing this correctly. I understand what you're saying, Kyle, and typically we do everything we can to avoid having to get an extension, but on an application of this magnitude, in my opinion, the priority needs to be on going through the process, going through the materials, and not rushing to make a decision.
And bear in mind, there are 1,000 pages to review.
Well, I'm aware.
Yeah.
I've read them.
Yeah.
He's read them and has notes.
So,
I will move option 1, council issue the amended complete letter, which deems the application complete, noting the necessary amendment, and saying this letter does not provide any sort of development permit approval or council.
discussion? All in favor? Motion
Please make
carried.
sure that you revise the date to the date it'll be signed as well.
Yep.
So I can make the second motion that council direct administration to circulate the application to relevant government agencies for, can we say 14 days? In the potential hope of starting it up.
Yeah.
And if they need longer, they will let us know. And could I add RCMP to that as well?
Discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried.
And I can make the motion that we'll schedule the first dedicated council meeting to review the application material on, is it May 16th that we decided?
Yep.
At 6 p.m. And I'm assuming we'll do it here at the community center because I'm assuming that we've got.
Based on availability.
Okay.
Sure. We will definitely have a suitable location.
Excellent, thank you.
And do you want to do the second review within the same motion?
I thought we were gonna see how that one went or do we want to just schedule the 24th now?
Is it problematic to put it into a motion and then change it? Because
Well, I am
There is-
concerned too of Jackie's availability.
yeah, there's some uncertainty. Maybe we should just,
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll just pencil it administratively and
And just say,
Yep.
second meeting to be
determined.
determined.
So the motion is for the 16th.
16th and 6, yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. Anything else on this agenda item?
I have one question. Should I be putting a placeholder on the 24th in my calendar so I don't lose the date?
Yes, please.
Okay. Will do. And Teresa, actually, no, never mind. I'm good.
And we don't need a motion for the fact that you're just gonna reach back out to
Yep.
Chief Leonard.
Yep.
Okay. We don't need a motion yet for the public engagement because that will be to be determined based on these events. Okay.
We're good?
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to what everybody's here for, the operating budget. Look at the eyes glaze over.
We know you all want to
If
stay
anybody
for
wants to
it.
leave, we'll pause. for it.
We'll also be discussing the RCMP as well this evening.
Pardon me?
Sorry, it's very hard to hear. I'm gonna move to the front. I don't like sitting in the
Sure.
front row anywhere, but yeah, it's very hard to hear some of the motions and things you're reading, so we'll have to bring a hearing in next time. Will you be discussing the RCMP as well?
Yes,
Okay, I'd like to stay for that.
absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Tom.
Yeah.
Love budget discussion.
Yeah.
Nothing better than a good
It's
budget
the high
discussion.
points.
I'll see.
How many people left? at home?
Alrighty, so we still have Crystal, Grant, Sarah Baker. Way to go, and Stu, way to hang in there, guys. Alrighty, the 2022 operating budget. This is the adjusted budget as discussed from the April 19th council meeting. Adjustments were made to the budget. Utility penalty revenue is adjusted. We adjusted the firefighter honorarium to what was paid out last year. Adjusted general supplies within the fire department from 3,000 to 2,000. Adjusted the museum insurance, included their payment of the insurance as recommended by council. Increased septic receiving station revenue and increased arena revenue by about $1,500. And we will also follow up with some engagement with the stakeholders and the users at the arena. The source of funding is the operating budget, provincial transfers, utility fees, user fees, and taxation. And the MGA requires the generation of an annual operating budget. And so the proposed budget is, the projected increase is 3.97%. And basically, there was attached the projection of what the potential impact to ratepayers with the tax rate comparison sheet. kind of reflects the potential for increases to the affected assessment classes. And so basically the 2022 town of Bashaw operating budget of $1,341,546.18. Budget before levy and $818,408.43 municipal taxes with an increase of 3.9%.
Any discussion?
Can I have one point of clarity here, I suppose? That is our projected increase is 3.97%. How much of that is a direct result of the changes to the education requisition for the provincial government?
Zero.
So that this is just our.
This is just ours.
Okay, and so then a resident would also face the increased costs associated from the province.
So this 3.97% is strictly based on municipal operating budget. And so within our school requisition, where is it here? Did I miss it? It's in here somewhere, right? And I must have it as a total. So 235,381. So actually our requisition is typically around 221,000. This year, we, as mentioned in the previous council meeting, we are experiencing an increase of about $12,000. And so that puts us roughly around 234,000. And so with the 235,000 that's reflected here, reflects the increase of the provincial requisition at 234,000. And then I believe there was a small where the CALA requisition is $830 and the designated industrial property requisition is $160.
If you need to move closer, feel free.
Okay.
It's hard to say, gosh, I'm in favor of that.
It is. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in right now.
The true up from 12/21, have we heard anything about that?
I
And
haven't
we
heard
forgot
anything.
to ask.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, usually they cut us a check like within the first 3 months, so I'm not sure. Like you would think that because we bought so much water.
Right?
Gosh darn.
30,000 they hold in the bank.
So, yeah.
With everything else we're fighting right now, inflation and policing costs.
Well, actually, the policing costs alone are 3% of this increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's we are really holding the budget
Coming out of it with a 3.97.
at the same, we're only asking for a 1% increase if you take out the police component.
So this is a down to the province.
Oh,
absolutely.
It is, there's no question. And there's another increase to come, is there not? Or is this the end? The police cost, is this the end?
You know what, we've got our requisition for this year, or if you want to call it, I should call it a requisition, because it's not formally, it's an expense. We're
Right.
not allowed to claim it as a requisition.
Right.
And so they're offset, so we receive it by the end of March. So it's basically from April 1st to March 31st. And so we got the bill March 31st, and I believe it was right around 23,000. And so when you look at the way it offsets within, because we paid for 3 months of the year in the previous, well, it's behind. So, it wraps over 3 months and has 9 months of the previous year. So that's what makes it a little.
We're talking a $7,000 to $8,000 number is roughly 1% of our budget, so.
So it's 3 to 4, about 3%.
Well, and if you look at the annual bill, it started out at 17,500 and then it jumped to 23. And
I believe we do have one more step up to go, don't we?
Well, at one point in time, it will hit 47,000 and some change, and then it's supposed to stay the same beyond that. You know, barring any rumblings of their additional costs or true up costs or back, whatever the conversation has been as of late.
That's significant for a small community.
It's helpful. I'll move that we approve the 2022 town of Bashaw operating budget of 1.3 million change before the levy, $818,000 in change municipal taxes, increase of taxes is 3.97%. Thank you, Jason Kenny.
All in favor? Carried.
Small comment here. As a ratepayer, and I would really like to see something other than a pie chart indicating our budget. I like to see numbers, and I've had other people express the same thing to me. We had a coffee discussion not too long ago about how the pie chart just wasn't enough to really indicate what the money was. It's just sort of this.
Our full budget is online, is it not? On our
Correct.
website?
I know, but for most people, the people that I were with, some of them don't even have real access. And you have to understand that we have a really high percentage of older people here. I still deal with people who don't have internet. I have to call them for everything. So, and that was a discussion. One lady said, well, I used to live in this community, and she's in her 80s, and we had numbers. I want to see numbers. And I agree. I think it would be much better. And then it actually looks more transparent, because one lady said, what are they hiding? I said, I don't think they're hiding anything. It's just they thought this might be an easier way to express the budget. She says, well, I want to see numbers. I don't want to know what every individual person makes, but I want to know what the numbers are.
So if people came to the office,
With all due respect, Mr. Chair, we had a council meeting, was it not this previous one, but the one before that? And we went actually line by line through the entire budget with a complete breakdown of all of the expenditures, as we are working with many council members that are brand new to the role. And that actually has been a typical process for many years. And unfortunately, we have had dialogue regarding hosting town halls or inviting the public to attend, of which generally there was no attendance. People don't typically show up, unfortunately. However, I know this council is very open to new ideas and things. And so if in the future it warrants, you know, a dedicated budget meeting where we put displays and whatnot and people get information on what's actually in the budget. But at any point in time, if you have anyone that wants to go through it with me, by all means,
Like our total agenda package, council package, is all online. It's all public information. And anyone has access to this information. There is nothing hidden and there is no way to
No, I
hide.
think you could publish these cute little pie charts with some general stuff. That's what it was.
that's usually put in with the tax notices.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's
as an information piece. It'd be very cost prohibitive to put a 34-page line by line budget in
where the pie
everybody's.
chart reflects numbers on the outside. That's all the comment that I got there from my coffee.
so my thought would be to take back, the feedback to take back to your coffee group from council is that if they wanted to pop by the office, you know, they could receive in print the copy for themselves. That was in the agenda package 2 weeks ago. The agenda packages are still all online. So even if you have internet, you could go back to council meetings and see that budget that is there line by line. And just let them know that, you know, there are various ways and it is fully transparent. And
So it's
again,
all the information
it
is there.
was a recorded meeting, so I don't know if that's.
I still have all the recordings, however, just not the technology to put them all online just yet.
But if
We're
somebody
working on it.
wanted to
Yep.
listen late at night to the budget discussion that we had, Teresa has recorded copies of it. It would
Oh,
be
I didn't
available.
think anyone was at that point.
Well, Well, they wanted more than the pie chart, so if they wanted some bedtime stories, that would be one for them.
Moving on, the monthly statement.
Can you pass the property tax bylaw, please?
Oh,
I thought we did vote on that.
Well, I guess we need to approve the operating budget and then
Oh, and
do
then
the
the bylaw.
4 readings on the property tax bylaw. Sorry, my bad. Actually, Kyle did already, right?
I made the initial motion, yeah.
Kyle did, yep.
They've all done that.
Okay,
Yep.
so I just need item 7.3, which is the actual property tax bylaw. I know it's a little unconventional to have it in the body of the agenda. However, with the layout of the agenda, it didn't make sense to approve the property tax bylaw before you guys approve the operating budget. So my apologies.
no, that makes sense.
So if somebody would feel like first reading.
I can do first reading.
All in favor? All in favor?
That's our, I move to suspend rules of the House and give unanimous consent to go to third reading.
All in favor? We are unanimous.
I can make the.
It's back to you.
Yeah, it's back to me. I'll do the third reading.
All in favor? Carried.
Wow. Passing bylaws.
Just left, right, and center.
That bylaw here as well.
It should be a one with the lines there underneath.
Yeah,
Sign
that
it.
was just the budget. There was no,
Yeah, there's just one line there to sign.
oh, okay.
You're golden.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 7.5, dedicated email for council.
Well, do we need to do the monthly statement first?
Oh, right, monthly statement.
I mean, we got some other statement.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor? Carried. Dedicated emails for council.
Council requested administration obtain pricing for dedicated email for council members. To provide the managed hosted exchange for 5 council members would be the annual cost of $960. In the event of a FOIP request, council would have correspondence in one business related email. Personal email are subject to FOIP, which is the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. However, interaction is with the FOIP coordinator for the town of Bashaw. The FOIP coordinator would inquire and request provision of the content. The FOIP coordinator is myself, CAO Teresa Fuller. Inquiries would be followed up on by the same. Legislatively, it is not a requirement to provide dedicated email addresses for council members. Council, as per the MGA, makes decisions by resolution or bylaw. Section 181, discussions and information are provided to council by request for decision documents within the council agenda packages and subsequently discussed in public meetings. The majority of business interactions that would be subject to FOIP inspection would be business-related interactions with staff and patrons. Email is considered a record for the purposes of FOIP. FOIP Act Section 4 references documents the Act does not apply to. Subsection 4(1)(m), a personal record, a constituency record of an elected member of a local public body, and subsection N, a personal record of an appointed or elected member of the governing body of a local public body. Additional inquiry may be advisable to obtain a legal opinion on. Exceptions to disclosure within the Act are sections 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. The MGA does not require municipalities to have dedicated council. What would council like to do?
I think it's not a terrible idea. I don't like spending another $1,000.
Is this did you look into multiple options, or was it just this one option that you looked into?
Well, we access a dedicated hosted service, so annually, like all of our computer and data management is done by one company, IT service, and so therefore, to look at it outside that. So for example, when we are talking about putting the videos online, it's not recommended to actually, so the part of the process is generating a YouTube account. So they don't recommend connecting a YouTube account with our dedicated email.
I think that answered the question. You're straying.
Sorry. Just for security purposes.
Sure.
I'll give you the leash on how I do it.